morning. Happy Friday. Welcome to the Pitch Track Chronicles. I'm Uncle Tats. I'm here with Rob. Donald is on his way. He is setting up. So when he jumps in, we'll get him into the discussion as quickly as possible. Just want to say good morning to everybody. I know some of you have been with us last night on the After Dark show, which was always a riot. But good morning to NFE, to Joan, Medina. How's it going? Steven. You got Chris in the chat. You got ABX. You got Jonathan, as always. Jonathan, I hope you got a good night's sleep last night. Damien, how is everything going? So part of what we started discussing last night was really the effect of the Corbin Burnes trade and what that means for the AL East going forward. And a lot of people, what's going on, Dev? I see you come in. And a lot of speculation is that the Orioles are not done. And where do the Yankees go from this point to gain a competitive edge in the AL East? Because I think the AL East now is the factor. I think the new ownership group in Baltimore is a huge factor. Because if they're going to have deep pockets, it's not about just how much money the Steinbrenners can spend. It's how are they going to spend wisely enough to stay competitive against other teams with deep pockets in the division. You know, the Rogers Group, they also have deep pockets, but they really don't spend the way that they could. They're also very, they'll put the money up, but they're very, I guess the word this offseason is calculated on the types of deals that they throw out with Toronto. So where was your confidence level before the trade or before the ownership change to where it is now?
Confidence in with the Yankees?
With the Yankees, with the Yankees winning the division.
I'm still confident we can win the division. I mean, I was seeing a lot of overreaction. Look, Corbin Burnes is great. I've been speaking about him the entire offseason. I've been saying, go get him. Go get this guy. And a lot of the times when I said it, people on our panel and people in our comment section were saying, no, don't give up anything for this guy. He's a rental. And now he gets traded to a division rival and people are mad that he didn't go to the Yankees. So, I mean, what do you want? Do you want them to not give up assets for a rental again? Because we just gave up several for two in Soto and Verdugo. And now you don't want to give up for another rental. And you're mad that he went elsewhere. Look, this trade happened out of nowhere because there was no rumblings that he was going to get moved. They signed Hoskins. It kind of signaled they'll wait till the deadline to see what's going on.
Yep. And
next thing you know, he gets traded. It's part of that. Yeah, I know NFE, but I'm saying there's a select few people. But it just seems like they jumped right into the fire. It's like, hey, we have a really good system. They have several good players. And one thing you have to keep in mind is the Yankees don't have a DL Hall right now. The comp to that would probably be Schmidt. And Schmidt's not on the level of Hall is. Hall's a power-throwing lefty with years of control, and he has some major league experience where Schmidt has been kind of bounced around a little bit. He's been okay, but he doesn't really have the upside of a DL Hall. And none of the arms in our prospects are on that level yet. So you have to keep that in mind. And Joey Ortiz I think that's his name. It's something Ortiz. He's going to play third for them. Excuse me. I got to clear my throat. We don't have those players. They might not like Peraza that much. A lot of people were saying, oh, give them Peraza and like a beater or something and call it a day. No, it doesn't work that way. So they may have liked what the Orioles had more than what we had. And then if that's the case, they got a pick back. That probably would have been an extra prospect or two for us because what we would have offered them isn't on the level of what Baltimore gave them. And I still don't think they got enough. So, yeah, and I get that NFE, that whole Yankee tax thing that we talk about, but I don't know. Maybe this happened so quickly that the Yankees didn't even have a chance to get involved because they were certainly involved early on because Curry hadn't stopped talking about Burnes, and then Clappish 2 days ago put out that article about the deadline waiting to get him. So it's not like this was a week or two brewing because all of a sudden they get a new ownership group. Now he's an Oriole. Like, it happens so quickly that maybe even the Brewers weren't expecting it to happen. And they have a fantastic farm system. It's the consensus #1 in baseball that they can afford to move 2 guys from that list. And I don't even know if Hall's even a prospect anymore, but he's still got a ton of upside. The Brewers can still compete. Obviously, they took a big hit losing Corbin Burnes, but it makes sense to move him now because at the deadline, you might get less because you don't know what he's going to be. And obviously, half a season of a rental pitcher is not going to get you as much of a return as a full season. So they probably figured now's the time. They still have a good roster, a decent roster, enough to win that NL Central. And the Orioles get the pitcher they needed. So I'm happy for the Orioles fans. I hate it for us, but I still think that we have more than enough to take care of business in the AL East. I'm not going to let the Orioles making one move sour what's been a fantastic offseason for the Yankees.
Yeah, it's one of those situations where we don't even know. I mentioned this last night on the After Dark show. I'll bring it up again for the morning crew. We don't know what it was involved with the negotiations and how they ended up with Ortiz, Hall, and the pick. They might have started with Hernan, the Grayson or one of their other many prospects in their system. So we don't. There's no way to know exactly where the negotiations went. It's also like I said it. Keith McPherson said it on the Fan. There's also the Cal Ripken effect. Cal Ripken is extremely respected in this game, and now as part of an ownership team, GMs are going to listen to what he says. Same thing with, I think Cal Ripken we could put in the same category as when Jeter was with Miami. You pick up the phone. You don't dismiss him right away. You work on the deal. So I think that was another aspect of how things came around. I think the pendulum was swinging the Yankees' way. The trade made me think that it might, this would swing the pendulum into the Orioles' favor, but I really think it's down the middle because I think their rotation has the same question marks as ours. They're relying on a lot of their youth to have phenomenal sophomore seasons. I think the only one that's really not considered a sophomore season anymore would be Rutschman. And that's the catcher. So it really bodes to think of maybe the Yankees are really in better shape to win the division than the Orioles are, because they still have they have their sophomore question marks. Same as us with Volpe. Is he going to be a 20 home run, 20 steal guy, but have a low batting average? With average defense. Or slightly above average. So there's a lot of question marks between these two teams. It all comes down to how the season plays out. Yeah, I think the Yankees are in better shape. I think the Yankees are in great shape. I did put the lineup comparisons together like we talked about the other day. So we'll bring that up as we get further into the discussion. But Donald, good morning, buddy.
How's it going, guys?
So how are you feeling about this trade that a GM only like LI could pull off?
Fuck. Now, Morty.
That was your first reaction.
Fuck. Yeah. To quote Michael Keaton in Batman Returns. Now I'm worried. And that's pretty much where I'm at right now. I'm pretty worried about our pitching, and I'm pretty worried about the Orioles now. They were significantly better than we were last year, and now they've added Corbin Burnes. So, obviously, I was just in traffic, so I missed the first 8 minutes of this stream. What's the positivity?
I think people are on the fence about it. They're still optimistic, but when it comes to Baltimore, I think the consensus is we're paying attention now.
They were always a good team, though. But it's just they made a move that they kind of swooped in and no one saw coming because, like I said, usually when a player's on the market, you'll hear something like a day or two before, like, oh, the Brewers are listening. But that wasn't happening. Nobody was talking about that. So it just kind of happened out of nowhere. And a lot of people are making it seem like the Yankees just had no chance to get him. They've been trying to get him, but apparently the price was too high. And the Yankees didn't have a DL Hall in their system. There isn't one. Chase Hampton's not a guy like DL Hall because he's not a major league guy yet. Neither is Warren, neither is Heel. None of these guys are on that level that DL Hall was. And then Joey Ortiz is the guy that's going to play third for them. They may not value Peraza, and teams probably don't value Peraza the way that us fans do. Teams look at Peraza and go, okay, well, he didn't hit very well last year. What's exactly his upside? So they take. I'm just trying to put a picture of what they might be thinking because the same thing happened in 2021. The Nationals did not like Dominguez. They did not like Volpe, so they took the Padres offer, and everyone was like, "Well, the Padres gave them less than what we would have given them." So no one really knows how teams value players. You can't look at that one website and be like, well, this guy had a value of 10 and the other guy had a value of 15. How do you take him? Nobody knows how teams value certain players. Apparently the Brewers love DL Hall. Like they love the guy so much that they feel like he's going to be that number one, number two kind of starter for them. So if that's the case, who are we giving them that's going to match that? Clark Schmidt? No, it's not a comparison. None of our prospects have major league experience yet. So you really can't say, well, they should have took a Hampton, and then we probably would have had to give them 2 or 3 more, maybe 2 more prospects because they got a pick back. It would have been a 4-for-1 again. And we're depleting our farm system for another rental. So I'm just trying to figure it out what people would say and all that. I don't like the fact that he's in Baltimore, I'll tell you that. But I still think the Yankees have a really good team and had a really good offseason. So I can't take away from our offseason because another team made a move. And it sucks that it was in our own division, but now it's going to be up to what I think is a really good lineup to make sure he does not shut us down. I still think our lineup can take care of any pitching in baseball. That's how good the addition of Soto is. Getting a guy like Verdugo should not be overlooked. If we have a healthy lineup when we face these guys, and if we face Burnes, who's to say that we can't tag him? We don't know yet. Nobody knows anything until the games are played. So I'm not going to overreact. I'm not going to be mad for the sake of being mad. Anyone's entitled to react how they want to react. But for me, I applaud them for making a move that I think is an absolute steal because you only gave up 2 players for a damn good pitcher. And I would have loved if the Yankees made a move like that. But, hey, we didn't get him. And I'm not going to – we didn't get several guys this offseason. And yet I still think we have a much better team than last year. So I'm fully confident in the Yankees. But I think it's going to be a little bit tougher road now to win that division. I still think we have a very good shot to win it. I'm not going to take that away from us.
Cashman has to make a counter move. I agree with FJ. Cashman has to make a counter move.
Yeah, but I also agree with NFE. There's nothing to freak out about. And I think that's kind of what we're trying to do is, relax everybody's, reaction, because just like everyone's saying, the rest of baseball is saying, and other fan bases, some of our own fan base. But we only have, it's only Soto for 1 year. So you have to make it count. Well, now they're in the same boat. And sometimes when you get to those situations where you have that rental, because it's not like Burnes came over and he's going to be with the Orioles for 10 years. He's a 1-year rental. So it's not, let's not make it seem like, Burnes is going to be a staple in the rotation for years to come. There's still a chance we can get him next offseason, just as much as there's a chance we could lose Soto in the offseason. This now, with this move, it puts all the focus on 2024. This is the year that we have to really regain the confidence. The players have to regain the confidence in themselves. So I think because of all the injuries, they might have the same doubts. If I die for that ball, am I going to hurt the team by being out of the lineup if I get hurt? There's so many variables that come into play. I don't think that I think the Yankees have as much of a shot as anybody. Joan, I think it was Joan that brought it up in the chat earlier. Arizona made it to the World Series. Who the fuck saw that coming? Nobody had them on their bingo card. Everyone thought it's every year it's the Dodgers. It's the Dodgers. Nobody can beat the Dodgers. Look how stacked they are. Look at the money they have. We thought the Mets might have given them some. I think a good comparison, and it's an early comparison, and we'll see how it plays out. Look when Cohen came in with the Mets in Queens. They made some gutsy moves. They made some quick adjustments. They didn't win anything. So you have to play the seasons out. It's fun to have our reaction. It's normal to have any concerns. But you got to play the seasons out because you never know which way it's going to go.
Yeah, the Orioles have to repeat what they did last year. Look, and I think they have a really good team. I'm not trying to downplay what they were last year. They have a really good team, but they have to rely, just like the Yankees had to rely on players to bounce back. They have to rely on a lot of those players, like you said earlier, to do the same thing. Can they do that? Mm-hmm. Can they rely on Mullins to have another really good year? And Gunnar Henderson, is he going to follow up his fantastic season? Is Rutschman? And I think these guys are going to be really good. Trust me. I'm not trying to say it's ours. No doubt. We're not walking to a division title. This is going to make it a lot tougher, but I'm not going to take away from what I think is a really good Yankee team. I think we have plenty of ammo to go win this division. It's going to be us and them at the top. And then you got Toronto and Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay got significantly worse, and they got a lot of arms that are hurt. I don't know what Boston's going to be either. So we don't know anything yet. Obviously, everyone's 0-0 right now. But I still think we have a really good team. And I'm not going to take from a move that another team made to say that we got worse from it. Like, how does that equate to anything? We didn't get worse. It's not like we traded him away. I would have loved Corbin Burnes, but if the Yankees have to go make a move, then I agree. Go make a move. Go counter. Go get a Blake Snell now. Go open up the checkbook if that's what you want to do. Maybe the price for Cease has come down a little bit, and you can go get 2 years of Dylan Cease. He's not Corbin Burnes, but I think Cease is a damn good pitcher. So if that's your counter, then go do something. But let's just see what they do, if the Yankees have a response or not. But they don't have to overreact to it.
I hate to rain on this Yankee championship parade, but honestly, what's our bullpen situation? We didn't get Middleton. We didn't get Wandy Peralta. We didn't even compete for Neris. Like, is our bullpen's now what? And now they're getting Corbin Burnes. And the Yankees, what? Nestor Cortez and Clark Schmidt at the bottom of the rotation? What is the Yankees' plan for the pitching? Did they just get Soto and Stroman and just go, I'm good?
I don't think any of us are waving the championship flag. I really don't. I think because, going into every season, every fan base should be optimistic going in with their team. It's maybe it's our year. That should be the mentality of the fans. Have the Yankees done enough where it's ours to lose? No. I don't think we're saying that at all. But until the games play out after 162, it is our title to lose. It's actually Arizona's because they hold the title right now. It's their title to lose.
Arizona?
Texas, sorry. No, I was up late last night. Rob was there. He knows. No, Texas, it's theirs to lose. Who even knows that they might not even make the playoffs again? Because, the Astros ended up getting Hader, which was a great acquisition for them. I had reservations about Hader on our team for my reasons. I just don't see where the Yankees made any mistakes. It's not like they just came out.
Answer me what the plan is with this bullpen. Why did we not re-sign Middleton and Wandy Peralta and and we're letting these arms go. Like, what is the plan for the bullpen? Our bullpen isn't ready yet.
They still kept basically the same back end of the bullpen. Hamilton, Canely, Holmes. That's still the same from last year. They got Efros coming back whenever he's ready. Nobody knows yet, but he could be
right. So nobody knows yet. He's coming back from injury.
Okay, but still, we got Gonzalez from the Dodgers. We just picked up Gage, and the Yankees turned everybody into a somewhat serviceable relief pitcher. So now we got 2 lefties in that bullpen. Marinaccio is a guy that could step up. We got De Los Santos on a minor league deal. The Yankees have several bullpen arms. And the other day, no one was really excited about the fact of bringing back Keenan Middleton. And now that he's gone, everyone's like, why don't the Yankees bring him back? Did you want to give 4 years to Wandy Peralta at 32 years old? I don't think the Yankees wanted to do that, especially when they got Gage, who could be the next Wandy Peralta. The Yankees turned Wandy from a 5 ERA guy into a sub-2 ERA person. So the Yankees can do this. That's the one position on the team that I don't really feel they need to go and spend a lot of money on. Would I like a de facto closer? But again, we talked about this already. Who is that? Who are they going to get that's an actual closer? Do the Brewers now move Devin Williams because they traded Burnes? Maybe you explore that. And then we don't really have this conversation about the bullpen. But I still think our bullpen's really good. I think our rotation has the potential to be good. I would like another starter because I don't really trust Schmidt that much as a full-time starter. But again, we can't overreact because who is it that we're going to go get? We're not giving Blake Snell the money he wants, not yet at least, unless that price comes down.
Yeah.
And they're not going to go too far over the threshold. They've already spent so much money. They've added like 70 plus million to this payroll, and we all agree this has been a good offseason. Now, because the Orioles got another pitcher, now everything's a problem for us. I don't see it, and no one's waving no championship flag. I'm just saying we got a really good shot to win this division still. Baltimore got better, but so did we. We got significantly better this offseason. And a lot of
but we
people
haven't added anyone significant for the bullpen. I mean, we've lost Wandy Peralta. I wouldn't have extended for that amount of time. That's fine. But the thing is, we lost a valuable arm that could eat a bunch of innings. We don't know if Efros is going to be ready yet for spring or the start of the year. He's probably going to need a lot of time. Heel has been out a long time. So we're relying on guys who have come back from injury for a long time to come in and just walk right in the bullpen and just be fire. Marinaccio, he was bad last year. Fact. Loaiza guy, he struggled last year. He's been in and out of form. He's not been great. We haven't added anyone significant for the bullpen, and we all have been saying we need to add more for the bullpen. It's not like, our bullpen's fine. We're just picking up a bunch of guys from waiver and a bunch of minor league deals. I mean, that's not really anything to be that significant about. I mean, our bullpen would be fine if we had an absolutely unbelievable, incredible rotation, which we do not have now. We don't. We've got a good rotation, but it's not absolutely locked down incredible because Nestor Cortez, you're going to be lucky to get 4 or 5 innings out of him. Clark Schmidt, he's a 5-inning guy, right? Rodon, he was pretty much hurt all last year. He sucked all last year. So is he going to be an innings eater? Probably not. Garrett Cole's your 1 innings eater. And you got Stroman, who's fairly reliable to go 6 innings, but he's not exactly a lockdown starter. So you're gonna need a bullpen which can handle a lot of pressure and a lot of weight and a lot of innings. And I don't see it. And Clay Holmes is your closer. Goodbye. Forget about it. I'm just being realistic here. I mean, if we're gonna go all in for a championship, which is apparently the case. We're going all in for a championship. Why are we leaving these key areas kind of open to interpretation going into spring? The Orioles made a big deal. That's a fantastic deal for them. Full shout out to them. But the Yankees have to pivot. I don't even think that it's a case of, it's fine, we're fine. No, we have to pivot. We have to get at least 1 quality bullpen arm or 1 starter, 1 more starter, one or the other. Then I'll be fine. But right now, I'm looking at it and I'm seeing some issues here. Lineup's great, no issues with the lineup, but I am worried about the pitching. And if you guys think I'm overreacting, just check out Talking Yanks. Fucking John Boy was freaking worried about it too. So, I mean, I'm not coming from some place where I'm being overly negative. It's realistic. There is some issues with this pitching. And I know we can rely on the past where Brian Cashman does do really well manufacturing bullpen arms out of nothing. I get it, but how can you honestly rely on that all the time? We should have been more active. Now, I don't care about Middleton. I didn't want us to trade for Middleton last year anyway. But what we were saying is, in previous podcasts, and I can bring up the receipts, in previous podcasts we'll be like, oh, you know what? The Yankees will be fine. They'll bring back Wandy Peralta. Wandy Peralta's gone. Well, the Yankees, and Middleton had a really good year last year. I'm sure they'll probably bring him back on a cheap year. Middleton's gone. So where's the next step? Because we've all been having these conversations over the last couple of weeks. It's not like a case where we haven't been mentioning Middleton or Wandy Peralta's name. Again, I don't really care that we lost either. I'm just saying you need to replace quality, and we lost a lot of quality innings out of Wandy Peralta. And you're asking a bunch of guys that have come back from injury to step it up immediately, and I don't think that's realistic. We should be looking to add another bullpen arm. We absolutely should be.
What if they get Matten? They can still get Matten or Brazier. Yeah. We were talking about them. There's still names out there. It's not like the bullpen market's completely barren. Just because they didn't bring back Middleton or Peralta doesn't mean they're not going to get another bullpen arm. Cashman said it like a week ago. They're still looking at the market. The Yankees have been in on the relief pitching market, but $9 million on Neris they were never going to do. 4 years for Peralta they were never going to do. I don't know what the details are of Middleton's deal. Maybe he got more money than he was expecting because he was good for us second half of last season. But I do trust the Yankees to take one of these several arms we've picked up, whether it be waivers or minor league deals, and turn them into a good relief pitcher. Because that's the one thing they do better than anything else on this team is they take these guys and turn them into good arms. So whether that's a Gage or Edgar Barclay, who a lot of people are overlooking, the guy can really be a weapon for us if we just let him. De Los Santos is filthy. They have arms that they can take and use if they need innings. Wandy Peralta was really overused last year, and he looked terrible towards the end of the season. Maybe Marinaccio, since he wasn't used as much last year, now he's fresh. And if you have guys that can give you multiple innings, like a Hamilton, potentially like a Weaver, they have him as well. Marinaccio can give you multiple innings. Holmes is a one-inning guy, I think. Cody Poteet's another guy that has decent stuff, but he's another one that's coming back from injury. Morris, we can't forget we picked him up. Yankees have a lot of relief arms. They do. It's just a matter of which one of these arms is going to take that step because they haven't made a big bullpen move in years, and it hasn't really hurt the bullpen. The last one they made was the re-signing of Britton, and that didn't work out for
Chapman, maybe.
Chapman's extension, and look how well that went. So everything else after that's been the trade for Wandy, who stunk before we got him. The trade for Holmes, who stunk before we got him. Efros was the only guy that was halfway decent and good when we traded for him. Hamilton, no one knew who that was. Jimmy Cordero, everyone was like, who the hell is that? All of these guys ended up turning out to be good arms for us. So I trust the Yankees pitching factory to turn one of those names that are on minor league deals into something special that's going to force their way onto the team. And they have plenty of guys that can turn to bullpen arms as well. So I'm okay with it. Would I like another relief pitcher? I said it, yes. If you want to go get Phil Matten, go get him. Fine. I would have took Middleton back, but guess what? We didn't get him. But I'm not going to panic about the bullpen. I agree with Damian because he said his concern more is the rotation. I've been saying get another starter as well. I'm not saying we don't have to get another starter. I would much rather get another starting pitcher than I would get a bullpen arm right now because I don't want Clark Schmidt that much in the rotation. I feel like he's best suited to be that 2-inning guy out of the bullpen like Michael King was. I feel like that his stuff plays better. I feel like he can be a good starter, but I think he has the potential to be an elite reliever, kind of like King. So if they can go get Snell, please, by all means, do it. I'm never going to say don't spend the money. And that ain't my money. It ain't our money. So if they want to open that checkbook and pay an exorbitant amount for 1 year for Snell, do it. If you want to go trade for Cease, I'm not going to say no to Dylan Cease. I'm not. But because the trade options are limited now. Is it Bieber? Maybe Cleveland comes down about Bieber. And then you can get him on the cheap, potentially. Maybe you do that, but they do need another arm. That is one guy. That is one thing I will definitely say they need a starting pitcher. I can live with the bullpen the way it is right now, but I do want another starting pitcher.
The Yankees are going through it. Going to FJ. If a move doesn't reduce payroll, they're not going to make a deal. That's what my concern is. there needed to be some. I don't know what the strategy is, because we do absolutely have to add another arm, and I think it should be the starting rotation as well. I completely agree with that. I think it should be the starting rotation. I wouldn't necessarily worry about the bullpen if we had an absolutely locked down starting rotation that can eat a bunch of innings. But we've listed a bunch of names for the bullpen, but quantity doesn't necessarily mean quality. So we have to wait and see. We don't know if any of these guys are going to work out. Bunch of names, but it's a bunch of quantity. Maybe one of them might work out, but it's a bit of a crapshoot. But the starting rotation absolutely has to be added to. Absolutely has to be. I'm not going into this season with just the starting rotation. We need to add another arm. But if we're already way over the Cohen tax, which I think we are, then that's what my concern is. I'm concerned that the Yankees are at their budget and they're pretty much done. And I'm looking at it and I'm thinking we do need to add another quality arm. So how do we do it? But the other way you can look at it is we're over the tax anyway. We might as well just go and continue to add to it. I mean, what difference does it make? I mean,
yeah, but look, you can't say that
money, but I know it's Hal's money, but I mean, at the end of the day, we're already over it. I kind of agree with FJ here. The only move that will just payroll is trading Gleyber Torres. If we traded Gleyber Torres, it does open up a spot for Peraza to be our second baseman.
But that's adding another question mark into the offense.
Well, yeah, but then it would free up money in order to go and maybe get Blake Snell, and then I don't think anybody would be complaining about that.
The significant move that really put us over the edge was the arbitration with Soto. So if we don't get Soto, we'd have more money for starting rotation. What would you rather have? The market dictated these moves, and like I said a couple of weeks ago, I don't want to mistake the lack of moves to the lack of effort. Who knows if Cashman was on the phone with these guys and they just decided to go to another team? You don't know what happens behind the scenes.
I don't care about effort. I only care about results.
So are the Yankees better off than they were last year? At this point,
we all agree with that, but I don't agree with this thing with, at least he's making an effort. I don't care about effort. I care about results.
Is it his fault that Yamamoto went to LA?
No, I've already said it isn't his fault for that.
Okay. Is it his fault that we didn't make a trade for Burnes? I
don't know. We don't know that.
Well, the reports were that Milwaukee won, their starting point was Spencer Jones, which nobody wanted to trade.
Is that the report as of the last 24 hours? Is that the reason why the Yankees didn't jump in on Corbin Burnes, because they didn't pay Spencer Jones? I mean, we don't
Milwaukee's the one that went public saying that they're not doing anything. They're not going to move anybody. A new ownership group comes out. They sweet talked Milwaukee into making a move that nobody even saw fucking coming. Like Rob said earlier in the show, I don't know if you were here at that point. It went. Usually, you have a day or two to be like, "Oh wow, they're talking." It was like a 5-minute period where, the Orioles and the Brewers are talking about Burnes, and then boom, it's done.
Yeah, at first it was close, and then it happened. Like it was within 2 minutes. Like he said.
But none of us are in the GM circles, so we don't know what happened behind the scenes. We don't know if
exactly. That's my point. What if Cashman was still trying to make a move, just because it's just not in the headline. If it comes out that Cashman would continue to try and negotiate with Milwaukee to see right up until the day of opening day, we're going to try to make this move. Just Milwaukee was almost like what Rob said when we were talking in our chat yesterday. It's got Washington with Soto written all over it. Milwaukee might not have liked our guys. That's not Cashman's fault. These are the guys, and these are the names that we don't even want to get rid of.
They wanted an
infielder. Where's the middle ground?
Right. They wanted an infielder.
I'm not happy. I'm not happy with the starting rotation. I think it's sustainable, but I have a lot of question marks about it. I have to see it to believe it. And the same thing with the bullpen. You have to play. It has to play itself out. It's not like they're not able to make any moves at this point. There's still work to be done. We have to let this
what I'm worried about is we're not going to make any more moves because we're over the Cohen tax, and everything is worth double.
Because Soto put us over the Cohen tax.
Rich, I agree, but there has to be some sort of budgeting then, which I can see what we're doing because we're picking up a bunch of relievers from like minor league deals and waiver pickups and I'm wondering whether we're at our budget. Are we at our budget? If we're at our budget, then I'm a little bit concerned.
Well, if you read that Clapfish article, he says the Yankees have maybe like $10 million or so that they can spend before they reach the limit they would have had they gotten Snell instead of Stroman. Because they would have gone up to apparently they would have given Snell the Rodon deal, but he turned that down too. They were willing to negotiate to that, but he just turned him down. The talks fell through. That's what the Post was saying. That's what Clapfish is saying. So that's on Snell. That's not on the Yankees. But so if they have another, let's say $9-10 million to play with, you can go get a Phil Maton and maybe even another arm. And then your bullpen's a lot better. Or you go trade for Dylan Cease. I know people don't want to hear the name, and they think, oh, he's not that good. But
Dylan Cease.
Hold on. If a lot of people are saying we need another starter, we desperately need another starter, but they're kind of being picky about the ones they want. You're telling me Dylan Cease would not make this rotation better? Who are you taking, Cease or Clark Schmidt or Nestor Cortez?
Of course I'm taking Dylan Cease, of course.
Right. So if the move now, I'm not saying they're going to go get him, but if the White Sox asking price, let's just say it drops a little bit because they just saw the Brewers gave up a much better pitcher and got significantly less than everyone thought they would. If the White Sox asking price comes down and the Yankees can pull a trigger to get 2 years of Dylan Cease, I mean, it's not the same level of pitcher, but let's not forget Dylan Cease is a still 200-plus strikeout guy. You're going to get 30 starts from him. You're going to get innings. And all of a sudden, our rotation questions are gone. That's a strong starting top four. And then you can go with Nestor or Clark as a number 5 and be comfortable with it. I feel like Nestor would be more of the starting, the number 5 guy, just to have that second lefty. If Sunil's in here, he loves the balance. He talks about it all the time, having that second lefty. But that's the way to go now. It's probably a trade, either Bieber or Cease. But do they get another rental? That's another thing, is maybe they didn't want to give up 3 or 4 prospects for another rental.
I can see
and
that.
I wanted Corbin Burnes. So maybe the guy is Cease, or it's a move that none of us see coming. Like, here you go, Brad, Edward Cabrera or Luzardo, or maybe they go try to convince Pittsburgh to move Keller, which I don't see happening, but I would love Mitch Keller on this team. So there are ways they can still be creative, but this is Brian Cashman. And last time he was creative, I don't know, but they do have to counter. I will say that they got to get another starter. I'm okay with the bullpen. That's what I'm saying. Go get another starter. Yeah.
Again, I agree with that completely. I'm not going to worry about the Corbin Burnes deal as long as we had another starter. Now, this $10 million, is that including the cooling tax? So it would be $5 million, and then because it's worth double, or is it actually $10 million?
Well, I think because right now our luxury tax payroll, depending on what website you look at, like Fangraphs has us at 305. So if you added 10, I guess it would go up to like 320. So I don't know. I really don't know how it works, to be perfectly honest. We've been reminded 175 times that whoever we add is going to be doubled. We get it. Everyone brings that up, and every single show you go on, everyone knows how the tax works now once you're over the final threshold. But if it's to get you a Dylan Cease, who would cost you, what is he making, $8 million this year? I don't know how much he's making this year, but if you have to double that, double it. And if you want to move, I don't know, if you want to go ahead and move a Trent Grisham even just to clear some money, then you can do that. But they need another starter. That's the one thing. And I think the best route to go is try to get someone who's cost controlled, what doesn't cost you that much money. That's Bryce Miller. That's Brian Wu. That's Cabrera. That's even Luzardo. They can go get one of those guys and not really worry about the money then.
Yeah. The Marlins make all the sense in the world, because we do want to significantly add to the payroll, which I understand. And yeah, I can see your point, because I was thinking, you know what, are they going to really go and give up another 3 or 4 prospects for another rental? So they've basically given up like a quarter of their farm for 2 rentals, as great as they are.
3. Don't forget Verdugo.
Right. As great as they are, like the optics are, is if they don't win a championship, then they'd be like, shit, we've just given up like a quarter of our farm system, and we're not guaranteed to re-sign any of these guys. So yeah, I can see that point. It isn't necessarily that the Orioles got Corbin Burnes. It's right. How are the Yankees going to react, and how are the Yankees going to make the next move? Because they do need to add another arm, and they have to be smart about it. And unfortunately, if Blake Snell was represented by anyone else, I think we'd have a fairly good shot at getting him. But Boris isn't taking discounts. I've never seen him take a discount in his life. And I think he'd rather, because he's such an egotistical dude, I think he would rather have his guy sit out through pitchers and catchers and through spring training without a deal than him take a couple of years off the contract offer and take a high AAV, low number of years kind of deal. I've never seen Boris do that too often. It's not a thing he likes to do, right? His ego and his cachet won't allow that. I've seen it in the past. You've seen players in the past sit out a whole bunch of time, and it's crazy and it's unacceptable. But that's the way Boris likes to represent his clients. So I don't see Blake Snell taking any discounts, and I'm concerned because the Yankees put a great offer in. I've said it a bunch of times. I don't blame the Yankees at all. In fact, I kind of think Cashman was smart to pivot to Stroman now, because I take that 18 mil over a 2-year deal, over a 2-year period, than this 9-year, $270 million deal for Blake Snell, who outside his Cy Young years has been slightly above average, right? Yeah. So that's not worth 9 years, 270. I mean, Garrett Cole, when we offered that contract, he's an ace, just flat out ace. So there was no question he was worth it. Blake Snell, there is a question. I think 6 years is his value. And I think, as Rob mentioned in our previous podcast, that website, the market value, we went above market value to re-sign it, to sign him. So that's on Blake Snell and Boris, and they can, and as strike zone, they can kick rocks, honestly. At the end of the day, if Blake Snell wanted to become a Yankee, he wouldn't have just told the Yankees to go walk. So totally unacceptable as far as I'm concerned. Not terribly concerned about that, but I want Blake Snell. Of course I want Blake Snell, but I want a good starter. Marlins, get on the phone with these guys. There's cost-effective, controllable arms that you can get. But we do need to, because remember, we are in for a championship here. We are going all in for a championship, and I do think we need another arm in order for us to get there. Then I'm not too worried. As I say, our lineup's fantastic. Tats has that fucking.
I'm gonna bring it up in a minute. Before we close out the show, we're gonna spend some time on that. But and it's gonna tie into the pitching because, like I said, I've been saying the last few shows over the last couple of weeks, our offense is going to supplement some of the flaws on the pitching side of it. Because when you have no offense, when you're only scoring 1, maybe 2 runs a game, your pitching is going to look really bad because they can't make a mistake. How many times were we reacting to games the next morning going, well, as soon as they put up 3 runs, we knew it was over. We're not going to have that this year. This year's going to be totally different. So let's pull the graphic back up. Whoop, what'd I do? Where's the there we go. All right. So we have this right here. Right. 2023, this was our starting lineup on opening night.
Just that one name in the middle of it makes you want to.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Horrible lineup. That was a horrible lineup.
And you're telling,
Stanton batting eighth?
Just look at. Yeah, I'm dropping him in the lineup until he proves something.
You have Trevino over him? Oh, Ted,
wait a minute.
Thank God you're not our manager.
Did you actually design this?
Yeah, no, I did.
Oh, thank God you're not
I'm not a manager, but I do try to pretend to be. I didn't know. Look, the bottom of the lineup, I really wasn't sure what I wanted to do, but I wanted to make sure names were in there. I didn't even know what I was doing with DH. Originally I'm like, do I put Peraza there? Do I put Wells there? But
where's Wells?
Opening day more than likely will be Trevino with Cole.
Yeah, that was it.
I would
I
flip
think we see
Stanton
Wells
and
game
Verdugo.
2. Okay, because originally I had Volpe batting. Originally I had Volpe batting into Torres, but I didn't want Verdugo in the bottom of the lineup.
Well, then how about Stanton 6, Verdugo 7, Volpe 8, Trevino 9.
Yeah, but even just the names, without the order, right?
The names are better because of one player in particular.
Exactly.
Is Juan Soto. And that's Juan Soto's protecting Aaron Judge. And I actually like that you have Judge too, because Michael K brought that up recently. Like, you'd rather have Soto protecting Judge than Judge protecting Soto, because then who's protecting Judge? Because Soto's going to get on base more than Judge would. That's just the facts. Soto's like a 400 on base guy every year. Judge is close to that, but I would rather have Soto protecting Judge, because then if you got to pitch to Aaron Judge, he's going to take you 450, and then you got to deal with Soto, and that's going to make Rizzo better. That'll make Torres better. That'll make Stanton better. I'd much rather have Judge stay in the 2-hole, but I do understand why they're going to flip it depending on who they face. You're going to see a lot of Judge 2, Soto 3, a lot of Soto 2, Judge 3. But I agree that Soto should be protecting Judge more than that.
Yeah, originally I was going to have Stanton 9th, but I want to have like that second middle hitter.
First Stanton. Oh my God. If I'm Stanton and I'm batting 9th on opening day, I'm retiring, bro.
Well, look, the numbers are what they are for him. And I've been very favorable to a Stanton since he's been here. But I want to come out the gate swinging. What's going on, Mike? Sean, what's going on? I see you in here. Look, these are the names that I want to see on the card on opening day. Trevino and Wells, I think, is a flip-flop. It all depends on how spring training goes. But those names are a lot better than what we had last year, especially when you look at the outfield.
No, you're right. You're right. But can we circle back to this Giancarlo Stanton batting 9th thing? Because Trevino's not a hitter by any means, and Volpe, to be honest, outside of his 20 home runs, wasn't much of a hitter either. Stanton's batting.
That's why the bottom of the lineup was the bottom of the lineup was where I was like, I really didn't even know what to do.
Yeah, but
I knew how I wanted the top of my lineup to look like.
No, I get what you're doing. If you just flip Stanton and Verdugo, it looks so much better.
Okay.
Yeah, it's hard to.
I don't want to sour on John, because that's still my guy, Giancarlo.
Well, let's
I still have all
the names, right? Let's focus on the names rather than the order, because the order is a mess, right? But the names are there. Just in comparison to 2023, it's night and day. I mean, Josh Donaldson, Torres DH, Cabrera left field, Trevino. I mean, my God, I can't believe any of us actually thought we'd make the playoffs with that fucking lineup. It was just wow. So, I mean, we'll get to the fact that even as fully healthy an opening day, that lineup is a complete mess. No wonder we didn't score any freaking runs. Anyway, 2024, that's much better. Soto, I mean, I like Verdugo. And by the way, Aaron Boone and Brian Cashman are very excited about Verdugo. Not making any predictions, but I think Verdugo's going to have a good year.
He's prototypical for what we want, because how many times have we been asking for contact, low strikeout rate, doubles hitters in the middle or the bottom of the order? Or even he can bat him leadoff if we're being honest, but they seem to sit on DJ at the top of the order, which is fine if he's hitting. But Verdugo is exactly what we need, especially from the left side of the plate. He's going to hit a few over the wall that weren't expected to go there. So I love that move so much. And a lot of people forget about it because it happened like a day before Soto.
And I think Grisham is a low-key excellent deal. We're talking about a guy that could play everyday center field for our team, and he's playing fourth outfielder for us. He plays excellent glove, and he can hit a little bit, too. He's got a little bit of pop. He's going to play a lot. You're going to see a lot of situations where Grisham's going to play center field. And it's going to open up a bunch of lanes for us. So I have no issue with the lineup. The lineup's great. It's fantastic. It's got a nice mixture between switch and lefty, especially when Wells is going to be our catcher. I have a feeling that Wells is going to be our catcher, but we'll wait and see how spring goes. But yeah, I like the lineup. For me, it's the pitching is the question mark. It's just our starting rotation for me is just a little bit worrying for me. In terms of innings eaters, there's not a lot apart from Garrett Cole.
Yeah, I think it's going to be one of those situations where you don't know what's going to, there's still a lot of question marks with a few things, right? I think that's the one thing we all agree on. It's spring training is going to dictate where things go. And that's pretty bad if Mike actually thinks that's a good lineup, because that was a terrible lineup. I can't even defend my lineup. The bottom
just one
of it
flip.
is terrible.
Just one flip and it looked better. That's all you needed. Just flip one name for the other.
Because I know those are the names that are going to be on the opening day.
Yeah, as long as the names are there, I don't really care. I mean, we'll figure it out anyway, I'm sure.
Because I want to see. Well, I also want to see Volpe being, led into the leadoff spot. And see how he does a couple of times for that, and see if he could become a leadoff type hitter. Because of his contact and his speed. Hitting in front of Judge and Soto, who are, I'll call them power contact hitters. If they hit the ball right, it's never going to land, but they swing more for contact. They're just naturally strong. So I think Volpe, Judge, Soto would be a phenomenal 1, 2, 3 at some point.
They need to keep Volpe at wherever he starts to hit. They need to keep him there. So if he's batting ninth and he hits in the ninth spot, keep him there. Because when he's healthy, Jason Dominguez is going to be batting leadoff most likely. He's such a prototypical leadoff hitter in today's MLB. So you keep him. I'm fine with Volpe as that second leadoff guy if he's batting eighth or ninth, whatever. But I mean, let's say if they keep Soto long term and you got Judge for the rest of his career, of course, you're not taking them out of that 2-3 hole, not for a long time. So Dominguez is leading off, then it's probably Judge 2, Soto 3, and then Volpe all of a sudden batting 8th or 9th. That's deep. If Volpe becomes the hitter that we think he should be, batting 7th or 8th or 9th this year, keep him there. Don't mess around with it, because they tried that last year. Then when he struggled, they put him in the top of the order. He started hitting, then they moved him again once he started struggling, and they didn't find a spot for him. And I think it kind of screwed him up. And then, of course, also they didn't find a hitch in his swing that his freaking AA teammate could, but that's another thing. They need to keep him wherever he's successful. So if they bat him leadoff and he finds success there, guess what? Keep him there. But if he's first week or two of the season and he's batting 8th or 9th and he's raking, don't move him. Keep him there. I don't care who you have to bat 6th on a day off. You keep Volpe batting where he's hitting. For once, please ride the hot wave.
My personal opinion is I want Volpe at the bottom of the order. I don't think he's a contact hitter. I think he's a guy that has kind of an uppercut swing. I think he's more of a guy that's going to have occasional pop. And so I think that's more better suited towards the mid to bottom of the order than the top. I want a little bit more contact up at the top. So in my opinion, DJ LeMahieu at the top. And if not DJ LeMahieu, would probably go with Verdugo because he does have experience that can do that. at the top of the order, and he does make contact. So I want contact up at the top of the order. I'm not a big swing and miss guy at the top of the order. I'm not a fan of that at all. So I think we need to see more of Anthony Volpe, that he's taken a step forward, because he was quite a big swing and miss guy last year. And there is a bit of a hitch in his swing occasionally. He can get, once he gets cold, there is a hitch in his swing, a little bit too uppercut. So I think he needs to take the pressure off and be at the bottom of the order. His defense is going to be okay. Let's keep him at the bottom of the order, 7th, 8th, 9th spot, and you'll see him rake, hit some home runs, gain his confidence, and keep him there. And then we'll take it from there. But I think DJ LeMahieu / Verdugo, depending on our matchups, when we're playing a lefty or a righty, I think that probably makes the most sense, in my opinion. What have we got here? Agree, Donald. Just let him get on the bag so he can steal the rest. Yep. Michael Caputo, Clark Schmidt does not suck. I don't know where you're getting that from. He's got an excellent curveball, and he's got good stuff. And when myself and NFE and Mazza, etc., interviewed Jobba Chamberlain, Jobba was very complimentary of Clark Schmidt's stuff. He thinks he's got excellent stuff, and I agree. I think Schmidt. I don't think he's got one or two, or I don't think he's number one or number two in any rotation. I'll give you that, but I think he's a very solid 4 and a good 5, and I don't think any team would complain about that. So I think he's solid. I think he's a very solid pitcher, and there's no way that he sucks. I'm sorry, no way.
Well, if there's something to complain about,
33 in ERA is not that awful. I'm sorry. 5.
Yeah, that's not.
Awful.
Yeah, if they're a number 5 starter, that's perfectly fine. Especially if now with that experience behind him, if he is in the rotation, which he might be, which he probably will be. If he gives you a 4 ERA at the bottom of the rotation, you're going to take that. Caputo, you want everyone to have a 3 ERA, a 3.2, or have a 2.5 ERA. That's not how baseball works. It really isn't. Yeah. But you'll find something to complain about if there's something to complain about, so I'm not surprised. Clark Schmidt was our second best starter last year outside of Garrett Cole. That's outside of that terrible first month, he was actually pretty good. So.
Yeah, and Caputo brought up the chicken parm helping Volpe hit 209. Look, Volpe had a terrible batting average last year. There's not one person that can say that was a good batting average. The whole thing with the chicken parm, we had a terrible season last year. We latched on to something that gave us a little chuckle, a little laugh, something to joke around with. So we weren't completely just fucking miserable. Just let us enjoy the chicken parm. It's a good dinner. All right? Just it is what it is. It was something to have fun with while we were all suffering watching that team.
And by the way, this idea that a 4.33 ERA is awful. Do you know how many years that Andy Pettitte had a 4+ ERA? And Andy Pettitte's my favorite pitcher of all time.
High threes, yeah.
Should be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, let's not pretend that all of a sudden ERA just above 4 is the worst thing in the world. If it's the bottom of the rotation, you're not going to care, because if Garrett Cole's Garrett Cole and Rodon is pitching to what we were paying him to be, and then there's Stroman, those are all guys that at their top should be 2 for Cole, 2 point something. Even Rodon, maybe high 2s, low 3s. Stroman is mid to high 3s, even low to mid 3s, whatever. Then Nestor at his best could even be a 3.5 to maybe high 3s, maybe low 4s. Clark Schmidt, if that's what he is for the next couple of years as a number 5 starter, you're not going to complain. But then again, Caputo, what do you like? Who do you like? Because you don't like Volpe, you don't like Schmidt, you don't like anyone else back on this team. I don't know. Who do you like on this roster? I'm going to ask you that question. Besides the obvious choice of Aaron Judge.
Look at this. 1999. Andy Pettitte's ERA, when we won a championship, Andy Pettitte's ERA is 4.70. Right? 2000, when we beat the Mets in the World Series, What was his ERA? He was 19-9 that year, 4.35. Okay? He was 21-8 in 2003. These are freaking, he won a million games, right? 4.02 ERA. And his best year where he won 21 games in 1996, another championship year, an ERA just south of 4. So he's had 9 seasons where he had an ERA of 4. It doesn't mean anything.
He's a high 3 career ERA anyway.
W's mean things. Andy Pettitte, and I'm not diminishing Andy Pettitte because Andy Pettitte is my favorite pitcher of all time. And I think he should be in the Hall of Fame, my personal opinion. But I'm just using the example that we're talking about one of the greatest pitchers we've ever had. He's had a bunch of seasons where he had an ERA of 4. It doesn't mean anything. So Clark Schmidt's 4.33 ERA is actually about league average. League average is around about that kind of range. So you honestly, you're way off, Caputo.
Yeah, but who's out there that's going to do that? It's like if you could name me a player, right? And I'll ask the whole chat this one. Who's one player the Yankees can add right now? You guarantee the championship. Guaranteed. Nobody. There's no guarantees in baseball. Right, and the way that the Yankees used to run the game with their pockets with George, right? Owners have changed since then. For our, we have Hal. He has good days, a lot of bad days, but other teams are getting owners with deep pockets as well. So it's not the Steinbrenner's league anymore. Right, talent is being spread out beyond belief. Player teams are locked. Look at the Braves; they're locking up their young players as early as they can. So you're not even seeing. We talked about this, I think, last offseason, how you're seeing little by little, year by year, how mediocre the free agency classes are getting, and the trade deadlines are getting even worse. So it's just the game is evolving. We have to evolve mentally. That it's not like the Yankees can just go and flex and buy everybody. It doesn't work that way anymore. It was
and another thing about this whole 4.33 ERA is terrible. Blake Snell, who I think you would want, and certainly I want, he has 2 seasons of an ERA of 4. Right.
Well, you know what the league average was last year, Donald? Just to cut you off for a second, the league average last year was a 4.28. 4.28 was
there you go.
Average.
So it's just around about league average.
And right? Caputo mentions Dylan Cease, the player he wants.
Now, yeah, that's right. 4 ERA. So 4 ERA is not that bad at all. It doesn't mean you suck. I'm sorry. And anyone who thinks that I'm comparing Clark Schmidt to Andy Pettitte, not in the least. Clark Schmidt to Blake Snell, not in the least. What I'm saying is 4 ERA does not suck. It's league average. Right? That's my point.
Yeah, and Caputo, I would take Cease. I wanted Cease to the trade deadline last year. I think getting him out of Chicago will help him. It's I think like we always say, like we said with Torres, when the talks were high last year of trading him, just give him a fresh set of scenery, and he'll bounce himself back. I think the same thing can happen with Cease. And you put Cease with Matt Blake, I'm all for it. It's, you're right, Li. Oh, God, I can't believe I said that.
Hell's frozen. Li made a good point to counter Caputo. We are in the twilight zone.
What's the reason?
Like one of the comments in Hector Stream yesterday, I'm like, all right, Li made a good point on the open panel. I said, go play lotto because this luck is going to run out fast. But the game has evolved, right? We're not going to see. I think the one thing that we were screaming for them to lock up Judge, and they didn't do it.
Oh shit!
You might see. Say they lock up Volpe, right? He's having a good year. They lock him up. We'll be screaming. It was only 1 year. Why are you locking him up for? Meanwhile, we're trying to save money in the budget to go get the big dogs. That's why we locked up Severino when we did. The dude was injured all the time. It sucks for us. Same thing with Hicks. He forgot how to play baseball. We try getting these players, we try locking them up to work within the budget to be more aggressive in other areas. It's got to play itself out. The injuries are terrible. They even brought in a whole new freaking staff. They're still getting hurt at an unreasonable clip. So what's the breaking point? What are we supposed to do? We offered Snell a legitimate contract. He said no. But but that's Hal's fault because he owns the Yankees. They tried making a deal for Burnes. The Brewers turned around and reported that they were taking him off the market. Is that the Yankees' fault? No. I'm just tired of everything's always going. It's always Hal and Brian's fault. How about the other teams? Who's holding them accountable for all this bullshit? He's on the market. He's off the market. On the market. Off the market. I mean, come on. Michael King was the breaking point in the Soto trade. Who would have said that last year? Michael King was going to get us Juan Soto. Who had that on their bingo card? You got to play it out. The opportunities, if they're good enough, they'll seize them. Clark Schmidt was a bullpen guy that they put in the starting rotation because of fucking injuries. And you know what? He was winning games. But when you have a shitty fucking offense like we did last year, where you have Jake Bowers instead of Soto, okay, what do you expect this pitching to do? They had to be perfect. They can't throw a perfect game every day. You cannot have a Hall of Famer in every fucking position. Baseball doesn't work that way. True. We all praise Brocious for his heroics in the postseason. Is he a fucking Hall of Famer? I'm sure that everybody.
No, and people hated that move. People hated the Brocious move when Cashman made it. They said, "What is he doing? Who is this guy? He stunk last year." That's the point I bring up all the time when everyone says, "Oh, they're dumpster diving." That was Cashman's first move, was a dumpster dive, because he went and got Scott Brocious his first year as a GM, and everyone hated it. The papers back then, they were going nuts. Like, this guy's a bum. You can go look up there was a video, I think, about the 98 Yankees. Just detailing the entire season. He had just gotten the GM job, and one of his first moves was to get Scott Brocious, and everyone was like, this guy's not stick. Oh, this is going to go terribly. And Brocious was one of our best players. So the point is, you just never know what moves are going to work. Because the moves that should have worked for us turned out to be absolute duds. Sonny Gray should have been really good for us. He was absolutely terrible. Some moves just don't work. Some moves, under the radar moves, actually do work. So Caputo, you're saying that Hal is a disgrace to his father.
His father wanted to trade Williams and Rivera.
He wanted to trade everybody. He would have traded. I guarantee you, if George in his prime had the opportunity to trade Judge and Severino for Jason Hayward, he would have done it. Guarantee.
No, he would have traded Judge to make room for Harper.
He would have traded Judge to get Patrick Corbin, like L.I.'s been like he didn't suggest trading Judge. But he probably would have traded for Patrick Corbin when he was available. Or he would have gotten Robbie Ray. These are the kind of things that George Steinbrenner did. I love the hell out of George because he put the checkbook out there. He brought us so many championships, but it wasn't until George was kicked to the curb for a few years that dynasty became a thing. So let's not forget that. Let's not forget about it. Who was really running the show when that 90s dynasty was really kicked off? It wasn't George. So, I mean, we need to just kind of pull back the reins on all this high praise, and Hal will never be like his father. I mean, how much money is he about to spend on a baseball team this year? Is that not George Steinbrenner? Hey, the best player, one of the best hitters in baseball is available for trade. And who pushed for the trade? Because guess what? Cashman didn't want to give up King. He didn't. And Hal said, do it. Hal said, do it. Who's the one who made sure that Aaron Judge was a Yankee for the rest of his career? It wasn't Cashman. Hal said, do it. So let's just stop with this. He's a disgrace and he doesn't care and all that stuff. It's ridiculous. Ridiculous the way people treat Hal Steinbrenner when every year he's got either definitely got top 3 payroll in baseball every year. He puts the money out there. Is it get spent wisely every year? No, because we spent $50 million on Donaldson, but every single year the guy's top payroll. He's trying to bring back certain players, trying to bring in certain players. He okayed the money to go offer that deal for Blake Snell, despite already being right near the threshold. He still said, go make it happen if you can make it happen. He approves this stuff, and he approved $300 million early on. Once we got Soto, the article came out, I think it was Martino that said Hal is ready and willing to go over 300 to get Yamamoto. And we didn't get him, but then he was willing to do it for Snell, and he said no. And then we got Stroman, and we're still over the threshold anyway. I mean, what more do you want from the guy? How is he a disgrace to his father, who, let's be honest, did a lot of bad things for this team too? So I'm sorry. This whole comparison to Hal to his dad is starting to really get annoying to me. Every time Hal does something that isn't like George, he's a disgrace, or his George is rolling over in his grave. I'm so sick of that. I'm sick of that talk because we don't have that dynasty if George Steinbrenner doesn't get suspended from baseball. Yep. That's the truth. We don't get that dynasty. We don't get to talk about the 90s dynasty if George is still running the show. We don't.
And by the way, even if you do have a Hall of Famer at every position, you're not guaranteed a championship, because look at the Yankees run in the noughties. Just right off the top of my head, in 2005, I had Robinson Cano, Jason Giambi, Derek Jeter, Tino Martinez, A-Rod, Jorge Posada, Hideki Matsui, Gary Sheffield, Bernie Williams. Do you want me to name any more Hall of Famers for you? Pitcher, we had Randy Johnson, I think. Yeah, we did. We had Randy Johnson pitching 2005. So we had Hall of Famers pretty much in every position. We didn't win the championship. So we're not guaranteed to win a championship with a Hall of Famer at every position. It's about how our roster is constituted. And I think our roster is pretty well constituted as of right now. But I still think we're short of another arm. But that's what I'm saying, guys. Like, you're not guaranteed anything. We aren't.
Yep.
So even when we did have Hall of Famers in every position, which we did multiple times through the early noughties, we were very, very spoiled back then. Very spoiled.
Yep.
Very spoiled. Where every single day you looked at that batting lineup and it was like pretty much a freaking Hall of Fame superstar lineup every day. And we still didn't win the whole thing. Did pretty damn well, but we didn't win the whole damn thing. So, you know,
even after 09.
And that was
look at 09, because
Caputo
brings up 09, and they spent all that money. What happened after 09? Because AJ Burnett stunk. Teixeira got hurt a lot, and it sucks because I love Teixeira. But where did that team go after 09? ALCS bounced out. ALDS bounced out. Derek Jeter snaps his ankle in 2012. He gets swept. Missed the playoffs 2 years in a row. So, I mean, you want to go spend all this money, but you're also complaining about injuries, yet that 09 offseason was riddled with injuries because the back end of CC's career with us was riddled with injuries and a declining player who was able to turn himself around a little bit thanks to Andy Pettit teaching him that cutter. So Burnett stunk after 1 year, and his first, guess what? AJ Burnett's first year was like a 4 ERA too. And what happened that year? We won a World Series with him. So once again, your point, Caputo, has just been completely swept out of the conversation. So maybe a 4 ERA is pretty good. You want them to go spend money again, go spend the money. I get it, but you're saying that spending is the only way to win a championship. Did the Yankees just not add 70+ million to their payroll this year? Did they not just get a generational hitter in Juan Soto? Did they not just get a guy who was an all-star last year and a guy who was on his way to a potential Cy Young in Marcus Stroman? Consistently good pitcher who actually doesn't have a 4 ERA, like you've been talking about how it's so bad, then you should love the Stroman deal. Don't seem like you like the Stroman deal too much, but it's got lower than 4 ERA, which you seem to hate. I don't get it. I don't know what you want, Caputo. I really don't. And the fact that LI is making sense right now in the chat, and I usually attack LI every chance I can, but he's been making perfect sense all day today. So I don't know what is going on. I got to go check outside to see if the sky's turning red, but this is not normal.
Donald, Joe, final takes, and we'll call it a weekend.
Final take is add another starter. Get me another starter, and then I'm fine. Congratulations to the Orioles. Phenomenal move for them. Phenomenal move. Absolute steal. And it makes the East very exciting. It's a 2-horse race, and it's going to be a lot of fun. But don't sleep on the Orioles because they won a ton of games last year, literally, and now they've added pretty much the best arm that could possibly have been acquired this offseason. So, you know what? Congratulations to the Baltimore Orioles. Yankees had a good offseason, but it will taint it if they do nothing for the rest of the way. I do think they need to add another starting arm. Or if they add a closer, then great. Either one of the two. So we will wait and see what happens. But, it's going to be a lot of fun. And I'm sure there'll be a lot more discussions and debates in the chat as we get to pitchers and catchers and beyond.
Let's get things up for us today. Got a little heated for a while, which is awesome. A little fire on a Friday. Nothing wrong with that. So if you have enjoyed today's show, hit that like button. Sub if you have not subscribed, and share this out with your friends, your family, the strangers on the corners. And as we like to say, go Knicks. Holy shit. I might actually start watching. I might start watching basketball.
Yeah.
But
Brunson,
not
baby.
likely. But the Knicks are on fire, Donald. They are. But wear your pinstripes of pride and play on.